Welcome to this explainer. Imagine if everything we learned in history class was just missing a massive, inexplicable chapter. Today, we're diving into the most awe-inspiring ancient construction methods and lost engineering techniques that still completely baffle modern science. I am so thrilled to take you on this journey because we're looking at structures that, frankly, challenge the very foundations of our standard history books.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with ancient engineering enigmas, head underground for long-used subterranean mastery, check out the megaliths of Baalbek, marvel at Kailas's top-down miracle, and finally, try explaining the inexplicable.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, Ancient Engineering Enigmas, Shattering the Illusion.
We usually picture ancient builders as, well, kind of primitive, right? Relying on brute strength and the absolute simplest of tools. But when you actually look at the archaeological record, it tells a completely different story. Our ancestors possessed engineering capabilities that literally challenged the limits of modern understanding. By examining 3 distinct case studies of miraculous stone manipulation today, we are going to see just how profoundly these ancient monuments shatter our preconceived notions of prehistoric capabilities.
Moving right along to Section 2, Long-Use Subterranean Mastery, Hollowing Out the Earth.
Let's start our journey underground in China with the incredible Longyu Caves. Now, this is an expansive underground city that is entirely missing from any ancient historical records. It's wild. It's estimated to have originated over 2,000 years ago, probably during the Qin or Han dynasty. But it just sat there, perfectly concealed in total darkness until 1992. That's when a local farmer was literally just pumping a water pit and accidentally stumbled right into this impossible subterranean complex under the rice fields.
To really wrap your head around this mystery, you've got to understand the sheer scale of it. We're talking about 20 interconnected caves, and every single one of them towers more than 30 meters high. That's like a 10-story building, meticulously carved straight out of the solid earth.
And it's not just rough digging. We're looking at flawless, smoothed walls and these beautiful domed ceilings. But the thing that really leaves experts scratching their heads? It's the absolute perfection of the parallel wave-like carvings covering literally every surface. It almost looks machine-made. It was clearly executed under some kind of unified direction. But here's the kicker. 0 human remains, no artifacts, no tools have ever been found to explain how they pulled this off.
So, if hollowing out the earth and absolute secrecy wasn't puzzling enough, you have to ask, how did the ancients conquer gravity when they decided to build upwards?
That brings us to Section 3, the megaliths of Baalbek, lifting colossal weights.
Now we're traveling to the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon to look at the Trilithon. If you're not familiar, these are 3 enormous precision-cut stone blocks that form the foundation for the Roman Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek. And mathematically speaking, these foundational stones simply shouldn't be where they are.
Visualizing this is absolutely crucial. Each one of these trilithon stones weighs between 750 and 800 tons. To put that into perspective, that is the size and weight of a modern Boeing airliner. Just imagine the pure logistical nightmare of maneuvering a stone the size of a commercial jet into a perfectly stacked foundation. And here is where the orthodox historical timeline completely breaks down. The very best Roman cranes of that era maxed out at a capacity of maybe 60 to 100 tons. So, using equipment that taps out at 100 tons to lift an 800-ton block, that is a complete mathematical impossibility for that era.
And somehow the mystery just deepens when you look at the nearby quarry. Archaeologists have found even more massive blocks just left behind. You've got the famous stone of the pregnant woman clocking in at 1,000 tons, an unnamed block at 1,242 tons, and then a gargantuan 1,650-ton stone discovered back in 2014. It is literally the largest stone ever carved by humanity, and it's just sitting there, still attached to the bedrock.
So, how do you top lifting the heaviest stones in the world? Well, I guess by carving an entire mountain from the top down.
Which leads us to Section 4, Kailas's top-down miracle, carving a mountain.
Hidden within the Ellora Cave complex in India, the Kailasa temple completely upends conventional bottom-up architectural logic. Why? Because it's strictly monolithic. That means it wasn't constructed by stacking blocks on top of each other. The whole thing is a masterpiece carved directly out of a single massive basalt rock face.
According to conventional history, laborers used nothing but simple hammers and chisels to somehow remove over 400,000 tons of solid basalt rock. They worked their way down, from the sky to the ground, to reveal this 30-meter high temple that is intricately covered in deities and 30 million Sanskrit characters.
But the absolute most mind-boggling detail of this monolithic marvel? The time frame. Legends and historical traces suggest this vast, top-down excavation was completed in a mere 18 years. Think about that. That would require removing tens of thousands of tons of rock every single year, with absolutely zero room for a single misplaced chisel strike.
To really grasp the sheer structural integrity of this basalt monument, consider this. In the 17th century, 1,000 men, under the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, spent 3 years trying to completely destroy the Kailasa temple. And they totally failed. They only managed to leave a few superficial scratches. That is how incredibly enduring this top-down creation is.
All right, let's try to make sense of all this in Section 5, Explaining the Inexplicable. Evaluating the theories.
We've looked at 3 sites that completely defy modern engineering. So how are experts explaining this? Well, the orthodox academic perspective argues that it just took massive, highly coordinated labor forces. With enough time and using rudimentary tools like simple hammers, chisels, and dolerite pounders, these monuments were slowly, painstakingly chipped away. As for moving the stones, they point to wooden rollers and earthen ramps, which would have required intense, intergenerational collaboration over decades. Conversely, because the orthodox math often just doesn't add up, like we saw with the Roman cranes being way too weak for the trilithon, there are alternative theories neutrally reported in the broader discourse. Some point to traces of a pre-Roman, highly advanced lost civilization. There's even speculation out there regarding extraterrestrial technological involvement, or the idea that builders used lost ancient construction and drilling techniques that have simply vanished from the historical record entirely.
Whether it was driven by sheer human willpower and ingenuity, or some kind of lost technological legacy, these megaliths prove that the timeline of human capability is far more complex than we might initially think. Sometimes, history itself just breaks all the rules.
I really hope this explainer sparked your curiosity today, because it leaves us with a pretty profound question to ponder. If our ancestors really achieved all this with just simple tools, what other lost engineering secrets are still waiting to be discovered? What other impossible ancient mysteries are just resting silently beneath the earth right now? Keep exploring, and thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.